Hi everyone, College Lighthouse here with a video on what extracurriculars you need for med school. Let's get started. So, extracurriculars tell medical schools who you are. They can diversify your application and let you present as a well-rounded candidate. They can even shape your values and lead to significant personal growth over time. Usually, med schools care most about activities that have led to this personal growth, often that you've decided to commit to for a longer period of time. Now remember, quality over quantity. For example, it wouldn't really matter if you're part of every pre-med club on campus if you haven't actually done anything in them. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't join any of these pre-medical clubs. They really can be an excellent source of camaraderie and discovering new extracurricular opportunities. I'm just saying you should be careful of overextending yourself. Instead, try to focus on finding organizations that you can actually do something meaningful in. To simplify things, I'm going to break it down into just 3 categories: clinical, research, and community service. So first up is clinical. These show that you understand what it means to be a physician and that you're familiar with the field. Shadowing a doctor is your best bet towards gaining this familiarity, and you'll see if the job is the right fit. Now, shadowing can be hard to come by. I recommend jumping on any opportunity you find as long as it doesn't mess with academic performance. You can explore personal connections, your school may offer a program, or there's also a lot that can be found online. A quick Google search can yield many results, particularly in the summer. These can provide really in-depth clinical observations. Many are also geared towards low-income, underrepresented communities and can offer to cover costs. I highly recommend starting to look into these early in your college career, although some are even applicable for high schoolers. Another great way to gain insight into the field is medical volunteering. Now, volunteering in the emergency department is probably the most common selection I see. It's a good foot in the door, but in my experience, usually not impactful enough to continue long-term. Instead, maybe search for something a little more unique. Remember, we want to commit our time to meaningful activities. Here's some examples. Nonprofit clinics sometimes offer more responsibilities than the ER and thus a better experience. Patient care volunteers, especially in hospices, can allow you to become an integral part of the medical team. I personally became pretty invested in hospice care. Through my volunteership, I got to engage with patients suffering from long-term social isolation and try to improve their quality of life through companionship. Point is, despite having no technical skills, there are still many ways to engage in meaningful medical volunteering. Don't get stuck changing bedsheets for 4 hours straight. Remember, what matters most is not the position's title or the number of hours you work. What matters most is what you learn from the experience. That's what'll shine on your application. Now, another great way of gaining experience and exposure to the field is paid medical employment. These are jobs like EMTs, scribes, ED techs, medical assistants, patient care techs, etc. I won't go into these too much in detail right now, just know that it's very feasible to work these part-time while in college. But they do take up a lot of time, so it's usually better to wait till later in college. If you're planning on taking a gap year, these jobs can also be a good way to spend it. Next up is research. Working as a research assistant is practically required to get into medical school. Why? Because it shows ability to work well in a team-based setting towards long-term goals. It's also the foundation of medicine. It can be pretty tough to break into though. For many, it may be best to begin applying second or beginning of third year. By this time, you'll have an understanding of basic lab skills from bio or chem lab classes. You can market these, and coupled with strong grades will make you a solid candidate. As for applying, I recommend targeting 2 to 3 professors whose work you are genuinely interested in. Send out well-worded introductory emails and then visit office hours with your resume, even if they don't reply to your email. Make sure you've done some background research on their subject before visiting them. Another avenue to look out for is summer research programs. Many universities and medical schools offer these for undergrads, and even high-achieving high schoolers. Again, just Google it and you'll be sure to find lots of results. If you're from an underserved background, many of these will actually cover the cost of attending and more. Just like the medical internships, look into these as early as you can. They'll give you a huge edge in the future. Last, but not least, we have community service. The best community service you can engage with should be personal. Focus on things you care about. It can be medically related, but by no means has to be. Healing and strengthening a community requires an interdisciplinary approach. Things like educational outreach, environmental protection, and helping out the homeless all come to mind. Find programs with goals you want to stick with for an extended period of time. As usual, try to increase your responsibilities and change things for the better. This will lead to personal growth, and your takeaways from the experience will shine on your application. To conclude, you need to have meaningful experiences in all three of these categories: clinical, research, and community service. As a general rule, make sure your academics are solid before committing to anything too time-intensive. Do not overextend yourself, especially at the beginning of college, which can be much better used to solidify study habits. GPA and MCAT will always be most important. I personally did not start on extracurriculars until the last quarter of first year, and by no means do I feel behind in my medical pursuits because of it. There is no rush to jump into things. Remember, the medical path is a marathon, not a sprint. So if I had to summarize extracurriculars in a sentence, it would be this: do stuff you like that lead you to the conclusion of why you want to be a doctor. Although you may engage in similar extracurriculars as other applicants, what you take away from those experiences should be uniquely your own. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you feel like you've gained something, please like, comment, and subscribe for future videos. Also, link to our website and the article for this topic below. See you in the next one.